Good morning, everybody. All right, today we have a very honorable speaker. Okay, Dr. Diane Gilleland. She is an associate professor of higher education at the University of Arkansas, Little Rock since 2003. She served as deputy director of the Illinois Board of Higher Education from 1999 to 2003. Senior Associate for the Institute for Higher Education Policy from 1998 to 1999, Senior Fellow of the American Council on Education in 1997, Corporate Executive Officer of the Arkansas Department of Higher Education from 1990 to 1997, and Chief Financial Officer for the Arkansas Department of Higher Education from 1986 to 1990. Ms. Gilleland serves on the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff Foundation and the University of Arkansas Foundation Board. Ms. Gilleland's intimate knowledge of higher education, governance, and finance from a university and government perspective enable her to bring valuable insights to the board on a variety of matters, including business strategy, product development, and political and community relations. Okay, please welcome me in introducing Dr. Diane Gilleland.
Well, I am delighted to be here and delighted to see all of you young students who are interested in doing hard work in terms of your education, because you've chosen to study disciplines that most of your peers don't want to do anymore. You know, we're at a unique place in our history, in our nation's history, that is calling for us to become more and more competitive, more and more educated in math, science, engineering, computer science, all these disciplines that represent STEM. And you know, the STEM acronym, I don't know whether you know this, is more than 100 years old. It was coined at Harvard in 1890, whenever they were having a big discussion about these disciplines and how that they needed to be enhanced, and there needed to be more students brought through those disciplines. So you're part of a history that is, you know, you might not know about, that there's been this concern for a long time in this country. And this concern started at Harvard, and they created the acronym STEM. And but our nation today we have less people who want to go into math, science, engineering. And even whenever I was in higher education back in 1980, I was working in Illinois at the time, and the College of Engineering was full of students at that time from Iran, other areas of the Middle East, people who were Asian, and very few people who looked American, okay? So for a long time, this country has not, we have our own population, native-born population here, has not been that interested. Well, to compound the problem that we're in today is that we had a very liberal immigration policy back then. And since 9/11, that immigration policy has tightened up considerably. And there are also people from other countries now who sort of don't want to come here, okay, for any number of reasons. So our country is left with trying to reignite an interest that was created in 1957 when the Russians launched Sputnik. And I know none of you all were around for that event, but I was, and all of a sudden, I mean, I was in like the 6th grade, something like that, 6th or 7th. And all of a sudden there was this huge emphasis on people, you know, ramping up teachers in math, ramping up teachers in science, because our country had just awakened one morning, and there was this spaceship that had been launched from Russia the night before, and it just shook us right to the core. Well, I think we're probably at the same place now, but there's no spaceship launch. This is like, anybody familiar with boiling a lobster? You know, or frying a frog legs or whatever. You don't throw them in there while it's boiling hot, because they will jump out. So what you do is the heat, you put them in with cold water and then turn the heat on, and it gradually, you know, comes up, and they're toast. And that's sort of, I think, where we find ourselves today, is that, you know, the country is not going backwards, but everybody else, these other countries, are coming forward at what seems like warp speed. And we've had efforts to, you know, take higher education to those countries. We've had a very liberal immigration policy, so that we could share our intellectual knowledge, our wealth, our experience, our experience with the democracy and freedom. And so what's happening is exactly what this country has been about for a long time, is that we were trying to share, and we were doing all this stuff, but they are moving a whole lot faster than we are. So these monies that have enabled you all to have these rich experiences with your studies in higher education have not been around, really, this kind of infusion, since Sputnik, okay? So you're here at a very good time to reap the benefits of a major national priority. And the major national priority is you. And I know that it might not feel like that, but it is. It's you. We need people to step up to the plate and say, I'm not going to go through in a major, what we used to call it whenever I was in school back in the 60s, major in basket weaving. You know, find some easy way to get through. And so I just want you to know that I am proud of you. I know that being a STEM student you're going to get the enrichment activities that go with it, but you're going to have to study hard, because these are not easy disciplines. But you know what? When you go through and you get something that is easy, it doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't make you have better self-esteem. What makes you feel good is that you have worked hard and you know it. And I was talking with some students earlier. One of the things that, and I went through this, I'm just going to speak for myself. We took the SATs years ago, and I was shocked that I didn't score better on the SAT than I did. But it took me a long time, and really working in higher education, to understand, and K-12, that what you score on a test like an ACT exam does not reveal how smart you are and what you're capable of. It is a reflection of what's gone in there and stayed in there, okay? So if you go to a class and you're going to sit there and you don't take notes, I think the memory life is like, well, it's something less than 5 minutes, okay? And your memory starts to degrade. I was telling the students that I actually had students who came to my PhD level class and who didn't take a note, not a note. And I would say, there's no way you can pass this class without taking a note and then reviewing and then reading all the outside material that you have to read. I went to a high school. I was born in Lake Village. I was raised there till I was in the 8th grade, and then I moved to Marvel. I don't know whether you guys know where these places are, but they are Delta. They're not affluent places to be from. And so when I got to college, my whole first year in college, people who had gone to school in Camden, Little Rock, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, those bigger schools, I mean, they were already a year ahead of me whenever I got there, you know, and they'd already read all the books that you had in freshman English, you know, I mean, so I was over there just churning through it. I'd not had those things. Well, I felt less smart than they were, but I learned over time that I wasn't, you know, that advantage evened out in the second year, because I really decided that I was going to do the work and get with it. And I want you to know that not only did I finish, I got a bachelor's in English from Fayetteville, I did a master's in English from Fayetteville, and I got a doctorate from Southern Illinois University. So I didn't blow into those institutions with a real high ACT or SAT score, okay? But what makes the difference is that you want to do the work and that you will do the work. And so for those of you, we may have students in here that have got a 36 on the ACT. I don't know. Mine, I didn't take the ACT, so I don't know what it was. But mine was, on the SAT, it was just a little above average when you combined all the scores together. And I had poor math scores. But guess what? In my high school, we only had Algebra 1 and Geometry. We didn't even have Algebra 2, much less Calculus. And you know, on the ACT exam, there are always 5 calculus questions, always. How many people took calculus in high school? Oh my gosh, I'm stunned. That's great. Well, see, you know, there's no way to make a perfect score on the math part of the ACT exam if you haven't had calculus, because there are 5 questions on there every time. And so that doesn't make you dumb. It makes what it reveals is that you haven't had that information put in there, okay? So, you know, it's about taking the right courses, and it's about taking the time and the effort to do hard work. I want to read you something that I've worked a lot as director of the Department of Higher Education and then as the deputy director of the Illinois Board of Higher Education with ACT. Listen to this. Over the past 10 years, the percentage of ACT tested students who said they were interested in majoring in engineering has dropped steadily from there were only 7.6% of the students nationally who were interested in engineering. That's 10 years ago, and guess what it is now? It's 4.9. So whenever I talk to you about this, that we are at a really turning point in the country, exactly what the country needs is what you're doing. But exactly what is happening is the opposite of what you're doing. And you know, the way to make money and have a successful career is for you to have skills and a work ethic that people will pay for. And this country is desperate for math, science, engineer, computer science people, and I may be leaving out some of the other disciplines that are represented here, but for people with special skills, language skills, math skills, cultural skills, other cultural skills, you know. I mean, what good does it do you to go and learn to speak French? France is not one of the leading economies in the world. I mean, used to, back in the 60s, you know, a lot of the colonialized countries, they spoke French. Well, you know, they're not colonialized anymore, and they don't speak French. They can speak French if they want to. But students who are learning, you know, Hindi or Mandarin Chinese or whatever, you have the opportunity to make yourself even more special than you already are through hard work and acquiring skills that are valued in this new economy. And I know you can do it, and you've got a lot of support here, and the country needs for you to do it, and you're one of the people that the country is investing in. In fact, the country has put $11 million at this institution in the last 5 years for you guys. That's huge. And what I'm here today to do is to hear from you all and to talk with you and the faculty members about this new STEM facility that the faculty and Dr. Benjamin have been planning. And I have been on the UAPB Foundation Board for the last probably 7 years, and I serve as UAPB's representative on the University of Arkansas Foundation Board, one of them. And so I'm here to talk with you about that new facility that the university already has $4.5 million for, which is just astounding that the federal government has put in that much money to build a facility. And the facility, as it's been described in the preliminary drawings and everything, which I'm sure you've seen, has a lot of the soft skill and the support and bringing people on campus and all of the activities that are going to pay huge dividends for you, because you have the research shows that students who have this extra support, they persist and graduate in dramatically higher numbers than students who are just going through on their own and grinding it out on their own. So you are advantaged in that as well. We want you to make you advantaged in having a great facility before you leave here. And we are even talking about, right now it's a 2-story facility, and we're at least exploring the possibility of adding a 3rd, which would have labs for you all, and maybe disciplinary labs, maybe specific labs that are needed on this campus that are STEM focused labs. And so that's why I'm here, and I'd like to hear from you all if you have any questions about what we're doing, but I would like to hear what you think would be helpful. And I'm not asking you to criticize what's being done here. We're just trying to find out what else can we do to help and raise money so that those needs are filled for you before you leave.
My name is Anthony Polk. I'm a senior at the university. I have done 3 internships, and I just wanted to know if you can change 3 things about higher education, what would they be and why?
If I could change 3 things about higher education, one of the things that I would do is I would realign the base budgets that are let's say in Arkansas. This goes on all over the country, however. There's some institutions that have been more generously funded than others. And some institutions' enrollments have grown faster than others. And what they have to do is they have to take money away from other students to just keep adding, okay? So I would rearrange, I would lift up the funding in some institutions. I would not take funding from other institutions, but I would level the playing field. I would also like to see things a bit depoliticized in higher education, because in the last 10 years, as you've seen the political rhetoric that comes out of Washington, and you can see it's building in Arkansas. And you can see that it's pretty loud right now in Madison, Wisconsin, if you know what's going on up there. And I would think that a little bit of the depoliticization would help. That we need to make education, higher education, more equitable, accessible, and we know what it takes to. We have lots of research that lets us know what enhances persistence in graduation, and we all need to do it, you know. So those are the things that if I could wave a wand, and that, quite frankly, they're things that I've worked on for 15 years trying to do. Made some headway, but not enough.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm Ashley Rich. I'm from Holly Grove, Arkansas.
Very close to Marble, where I'm from.
Yeah, my mom works at Walmart.
Oh, is that right?
And I'm a biology major, junior, and I have done an internship at the University of Southern Mississippi. And my question is, what do you see as some of the weaknesses that we as college students should try to work on?
One of them would be disciplined. Don't be disciplined and read all the material that you are advised. You know, some classes said required reading and then recommended reading. Well, certainly do the required, but do the recommended as well. Also, take notes and review. In other words, the ability to remember things increases dramatically whenever you go back and you scan it again. And if you scan it again, it goes way up. I mean, so do your work ahead of time and then go back and look at it again and look at it again. Don't wait till the night before a test and think you're going to remember it and cram it in. Get it done. Just review it. That doesn't mean reread every word. It means go back so that it brings it up in your memory. And if I learned that in the second semester of my sophomore year, and it helped considerably on my grade point.
Good morning. My
Good
name is
morning.
Carmen Moore. I'm a junior here at the university. I'm from Earl, Arkansas. My major is biology. And I've done shadowing at the East Arkansas Family Health Center in West Memphis, Arkansas, where I'll be returning as a pharmacy technician for the summer.
Oh, great.
And my question is, what can we do as STEM scholars to help you in your fundraising activities?
Well, I can tell you the thing that you can do most is to speak into the camera and tell people how this program has been helpful to you and what excites you about the program and what excites you about your future and that you will have as a result of this. You know, what you want to do and what excites you. And also, you know, what needs you think that the institution still has to make your future a bright one.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Polk. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, a senior majoring in industrial technology. And this past year, I interned with Walmart corporate office in the Asset Protection Investigation Unit, where I created training guides for the whole department. Previously, I interned with Northwest Memorial Hospital, where I was a customer response agent. And my freshman year, I interned with the Bureau of Land Management, where I was a wildland firefighter. And I was just wanting to know, after I graduate, upon graduation, what would be the best step, me continuing my education or me getting in the industry and start working?
Well, you know, I don't know. I can't really answer that because both of those are great ways to go. However, I went straight through, but when I had been out and worked and then came back and did my doctorate, I had it was very different. It was different. I enjoyed my studies more once I had been out. And so, you know, maybe you should try a year out or 2 years out, but if you feel that it's best and that you might not go back for it, then go straight on through, particularly if you've got the financial support to do it. Just don't stop, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Just keep the fire in your belly.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Jasmine Rice. I'm from Altamont, Arkansas. I'm a freshman, and my major is mathematics. My question is, as future graduate students and employees, what advice can you give us on becoming successful?
The advice that I have for students who are moving into careers and for employees that I have worked with is that you need to know more about whatever it is that you're working on than the average bear, okay? And work harder. There are a lot of people who are really, what we would call really smart. And you should know that there are people who are really smart who, we used to give Governor Scholarship Awards. Have y'all heard about that scholarship program? 15% of those folks would flunk out and leave, okay? Hard work and doing more than you're asked to do is the key to being successful. Also, of course, knowing how to be a member of a team, and even if you're at the top of an organization. Whenever I was director of the Department of Higher Education, I went to the Xerox machine and I Xeroxed my own stuff, you know, not always, but I stuffed envelopes, I did it all, okay? And so I think if you can always remember that you're on a team and that you might be the team leader, but if you could approach it as a player coach, a coach player, whatever they call them that, you know, it works so much better than being a prima donna or the prom queen. That's not fun. That's an isolated way to work, and plus it's the world that we live in needs minds from all disciplines working on same problems and people with different points of view. So those are the keys to success that I've seen over my professional career.
Hello, my name is Brian Holmes.
Hi, Brian.
I'm from Chicago, Illinois, majoring in chemistry, and I did an internship at the University of North Texas Health Science Center. And the question I have is, what trends do you see in higher education that will have an impact on us now and in the future?
The biggest trend that I see in higher education is that the resources are not going, additional resources are not going to be around. I mean, Arkansas, fortunately, is not in debt. But we were a state that went broke back in the 1930s. We had borrowed money, you know, on Wall Street, bonds and this, that, and the other. And when the Depression happened, we defaulted on those bonds and couldn't pay them back. And so the legislature then in like 1933 passed a law that is called the Revenue Stabilization Act. And in Arkansas, that means you cannot spend more money than you take in. So we are not broke. We're one of 4 states in the nation that is not broke, because we always adjust our spending down. If the revenues are down for 3 to 6 months, then the governor adjusts the distribution of money, and that automatically cuts back on the spend rate. So, in other words, the trend is going to be that there's going to be less money for higher education. They're already proposing cutting the Pell Grant just to try to, and the Obama team proposed that, which I was astounded by. But that's one of the things that the national budget is in trouble, and it's going to have to be pared back, and most state budgets are going to have to be pared back. But I would say to you, don't put any stuff on a credit card for you personally. Don't spend more than you take in. Because once you do, I mean, that is a terrible, financial things are a terrible burden. And credit cards can change your interest overnight from 8% to 29%, and not even tell you why, which I'm sure some of us in the room have, you know. So be prudent about your money and get all you can out of American higher education. Don't just go to the classroom and just listen to the teacher and then that's it, and you go home and you cram the night before the test. I know I did some of it myself. I didn't do it that way whenever I went back and worked on my doctorate after I had been out working for a few years. But if you want to do graduate school, it's also better to do it maybe without having family obligations. I don't know. That's just going to be a personal decision that you all make. But work hard, get special needed skills that the country is telling you that they need, and do them well and work hard. I think you will have a very bright future. I think all of you will have a very bright future if you want to grab it, you know.
questions? Well, I would like to thank Dr. Gilleland.
Good morning, STEM scholars. Good morning. You are such a wonderful group, and I want you to know that Dr. Gilleland is here this morning because President Sugg met you all. You remember, right before Christmas? He was so impressed with you all that when she went to his office to talk about fundraising for our building and to express her excitement, he said, if you think you're excited about UAPB and the STEM Academy, you need to go to the campus and meet the students and the faculty. And you will be truly excited about what is going on. And I wanted to tell you that because I want you to know that you are representatives of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and your enthusiasm is contagious. Your accomplishments really are quality indicators of who we are and how we can market what we do. So I wanted to stand here, Mr. President, and thank you all. Who's the president? Miss President, and you are Vice. Your officers, your leaders. I wanted to thank you for being here this morning and to let you all know as a group that your leaders represented you in a closer conversation with Dr. Gilleland, because as she writes about us, as she talks to donors, and you know, donors can decide if they will or will not. They have no public obligation to give us anything. They will only write a check if they believe that we have a quality product here that is consistent with their mission and also helpful for this country. So when Dr. Gilleland was talking to you about the importance of STEM, don't take it lightly, and I don't think you did. I think you listened very attentively to what she was saying. Know that the well-being of this country is on your backs. The economics of the Arkansas Delta will be affected by what you do. When we try to recruit industry to this area, one of the first questions is, what is the manpower, what's the workforce base for this area? Can we find people who can understand what we are doing and who have the work ethics to help us be successful and competitive? And the competitiveness of this whole country is dependent on what we are going to do in the area of STEM. Now, for us to be as successful as we need to be and as we know we can be, and we are already successful, we need that building. And we don't have 5 years to get it. Our goal is to have this building completed in 2012. Get it over with. You all need the space. We've had some recommendations on things that you'd like to see. For those of you that did not speak, because we didn't have time for everyone to speak, Dr. Gilleland will be around for a few minutes. Just pull her aside and tell her, you know, is it possible that we could have? We don't always get an opportunity like this, you all. I mean, have you seen a new building go up at UAPB since you've been here? Who has? I don't think you have, because it's been a few years since we've had one. So it might as well be the STEM Academy and Conference Center as our next new building. So I stood up to thank you all as a group for all you're doing, for being wonderful ambassadors for this university. I want you to join me in acknowledging our faculty back there. I know they ride your back. The staff, we have a wonderful staff, and they work so hard, and we had to borrow this space. We had to borrow it. The first space that we asked for, we could not have. We didn't take no for an answer. And I want to thank them for the way that they set it up. It looks very professional. And our TV station for being here, helping us to record history. Just thank you, thank you. And Dr. Gilleland and daughter, thank you so much for being here.